Top 5 Zombie Movies of All Time. Zombie movies have had a fascinating path to the mainstream. For decades, the creatures didn't have much of a presence or definition outside voodoo lore, radioactive humanoids, and the unforgettable art of EC comics. Zombies were scarcely used, and when they were a pretty far cry from the cannibalistic flesh-hungry undead creatures we know and love today. They now hold an entire genre by their name, and today we take a look at 5 films that we think represent the best that the zombie genre has to offer. Train to Busan, 2016. After the zombie genre got a big boost in the early aughts, the living dead thrived on serialized television, but they died off in cinemas for a while. Train to Busan is a proper return to form for the genre, an old-fashioned zombie drama with heart and soul, a simple but clever setup and some scary zombies. The film follows a father and his young daughter on a terrifying train ride that sends them speeding through a zombie outbreak in South Korea, trapped inside increasingly infected compartments of the passenger train. Filled with characters you root for, and some you love to root against, Train to Busan is packed with zombie action that uses the tight quarters to thrilling effect, traveling through the cars of the train with a series of imaginative set pieces that put the physicality of these contorted, fast-moving zombies to great effect. After watching the living survive among the dead for years on the silver screen, it's damn well time for someone to give the undead their bite back, and Train to Busan is just the ticket. Shaun of the Dead, 2004. When it comes to advancing the zombie movie genre, this film stands out among the crowd. It's both a warm-blooded love letter to the history of zombie films and a stone-cold laugher that takes shots at those very same films. It helped quite a bit that Trite and Peg enjoyed a shorthand from working together on the TV series Is It Bill Bailey, and Spaced before collaborating on what is arguably the best zombie comedy out there today. Shaun of the Dead didn't just take the zombie movie tropes and run with them, it allowed Wright's meticulous attention to detail and brand of humor, complemented by Peg's delivery, to bubble to the surface. It's one of the most rewatchable movies out there, because you'll always find something new that you may have missed dozens of times before. And once you've steeped yourself in the history of zombie films, you should also find that you have a new appreciation for just how lovingly Shaun of the Dead was put together. Night of the Living Dead, 1968. Night of the Living Dead is not the first zombie movie, far from it. But it's the first to leave traditional voodoo roots behind, move beyond using atomic radiation more or less, and do away with alien invasions, to give us the modern version of zombies as reanimated corpses who hunger for flesh. For the last 50 years and counting, that's the model that zombie stories in all media have been built from, including Romero's own sequels to his seminal film. And yet the original still holds up today, not because of dazzling special effects or incredible acting, but because of the social themes Night of the Living Dead attempted to skewer. The undercurrents of racial prejudice, vigilantism, mob mentality, and cowardice in the face of difficulty continue to hit hard 50 years later, since these themes are common human attributes throughout history that we are still attempting to overcome today. In subverting everything that defines life as a human, Romero was able to explore humanity at its least humane. Often imitated, rarely duplicated, Night of the Living Dead remains a contemporary horror classic. 28 Days Later, Area Code 2002. 28 Days Later redefined the zombie aesthetic for a generation of filmmakers. Directed by Oscar winner Danny Boyle from a script by brilliant sci-fi scribe Alex Garland, 28 Days Later rubbed zombie purists the wrong way at first. For one thing, they weren't technically zombies, but humans infected with a feral rage virus, and as a result, they moved way too fast. Purists scoffed, but audiences around the world discovered a new approach to the beloved genre that has not only endured, but become one of the most influential modern entries in the genre. Boyle crafted a new image of the viral apocalypse, a savage, bloodthirsty virus that sweeps through the world leaving a broken, infested shell behind. That's what Jim awakes to find, rising from a coma to discover England in ashes. Boyle captures the chaos and the terror of a world destroyed with his signature stylistic flourishes, quick edits and skewed color palettes that enhance the adrenaline-fueled fear that engulfs the first act. From there, the film settles into an intimate character drama set against the backdrop of collapsed society and the fringe groups that try to hold on to their sense of normalcy. 28 Days Later is so successful, because it is as tender as it is terrifying, matching moments of horror with humanity, and a healthy spattering of cultural commentary along the way. Dawn of the Dead, 1978, George Romero didn't invent the zombie, but he did single-handedly create the template for the modern zombie movie as we know it with his exquisite Night of the Living Dead. For his sequel, Romero dodged the temptation to retread familiar territory, ditching the intimate confines of a home for the sprawling reaches of a shopping mall, and trading his black and white bleakness for a playful, color-saturated palette. Dawn of the Dead is a horror sequel in every sense, bigger and bloodier, but it maintains Romero's commitment to piercing social commentary, this time tackling the insatiable lust of American consumerism. It's also packed to the brim with Romero's skilled eye for visceral violence rendered with first-rate old-school gore effects from Tom Savini, the legendary craftsman of carnage who transplanted his experience as a combat photographer in Vietnam to a career spent creating on-screen nightmares. As in all of Romero's great work, that beautifully executed bloodshed is only a backdrop for a compelling character drama as the group of strangers seeking refuge in the abandoned shopping complex cope with increasing interpersonal conflict. Romero directs it all with wit, and empathy, and an expert eye for when to drop the next